All right, welcome back into the Garden Report. We're talking about the Celtics and the Suns and some of the things we saw. One of them was the emergence, or I'd say the restart debut of Romeo Langford, who did not play in Game 1. We have Clevis Murray. Reintroduction. We get to see Romeo. Clevis Murray from The Athletic, Jimmy Toscano, Bobby Manning, CLNS, and Celtics blog. And guys, let's get into it. It was good to see Romeo. We were critical of the bench after the last game. We really have been all season long. And it really is important. He'd be a great guy to come in and show us something that we really haven't seen from him all year because he hasn't been super active. Brad Stevens was really effusive of his praise after the game and saying Romeo's going to see some minutes and he's going to factor into the mix. He was really happy with his feel for the game. So let's get our thoughts. Clevis, we'll start with you. What did you see in Romeo?
Yeah, I was very impressed. I mean, this is a guy that he came into the league and he struggled to start, his rookie year. But the biggest thing is you want to see progress, right? And we see progress before the season was postponed. And now in his re-debut, as you mentioned, we see the glimpses as to why the Celtics picked him number 17 overall. And Romo is a guy where I firmly believe he could be a two-way player in this league and a guy that Brad Stevens might be able to trust in the playoffs. Not with like large minutes, but if you need like a 3-5 minute burst, I think
any minutes, right?
Yeah.
Any meaningful second unit minutes where he can come in and do some of the things you think he could do with the pedigree that he has, it would be huge considering, again, the other guys that they have. And Bobby, we talked about this in the post game. You're looking at competing with minutes with Grant Williams and Semi Ojeleye. At their best, they can't give you what Romeo could give you.
Yeah, and there was a reason I didn't love the pick, and it's because he wasn't even out there to compete with these guys. So all of a sudden, Semi, Javonte Green, who wasn't even drafted, like these guys had the shoe in on that position before him just because he couldn't take the court. And I still don't love the pick. You had a Tyler Hero, you had a Brandon Clark that they possibly could have gone with to impact this team immediately. But now that you see some of the skills he brings to the table, he's fixed the three-point shot, he can get into the lane, and ultimately this bench just needs a guy who can score. You got Kanter who can score, doesn't bring on the defensive end. You get
we'll get it again. We know you want to give.
You get a bunch of guys who do a bunch of little things but can't score. This guy can do all of those things and score.
You're gonna get your pound of flesh with Kanter in a little bit.
You will have the floor in Kanter.
Sorry,
Jimmy, what do you think? Can we count on this guy for real? Because again, in addition to not having played, he kind of comes in and we talk about it. He looks a little passive. You don't know if he's engaged yet. And part of it is he hasn't played much. He hasn't had meaningful minutes with his teammates to get into any sort of rhythm. But is this fool's gold?
No, I don't know. It's not fool's gold. The one concern I had when they drafted him was like, oh gosh, is this another one of Danny Ainge's purely based on potential? Is this going to be James Young time, all over again? Hope not. And I'm not saying it is. It's too soon to say. I can't
don't
say if it's a good
James Young.
I know, but I had to.
Well, that's about what he has on his resume so far.
That's my fear. I wake up in cold sweats thinking of the James Young, right?
Exactly. So you always have to face your fear. Okay, that's just in your imagination. It's not real life.
Right.
It's just you're still have PTSD from about James Young.
You're gonna come out of this. It's gonna be okay.
Right. I think Romeo has the P word potential. Obviously, he hasn't played that much, and that goes back to his last year in college.
Right.
That's why he kind of fell. Right, is because going into that year, he got hurt and he barely played.
His shot was broken. Everything.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they've been working with this guy a lot behind the scenes to get his confidence back, to get him back into just the routine of playing basketball.
Yeah.
And it's tough to find it when you're only playing 5-7 minutes a game. But listen, this Celtics bench, there's opportunity on this Celtics bench to get in that rotation and have an impact. So if he can get the stomach clear and keep it that way, he can definitely find
no
some
more
because,
Joe's Crab Shack.
Yeah,
like John said, when he's at his best, he can do things more than some of these other guys that are currently taking minutes in the rotation right now.
With the Celtics bench, it's not next man up; it's first man up. Anybody,
any man up,
any man up
at all.
Just please present yourself and come out and do some things. And so yes, it would be great, and it really does almost have like a football, he's been on the pup all year and we don't know what he is, a redshirt freshman, and he comes
young.
He's young. And it's potential. So it is something to get excited because again, it's that promise. He could be a thing that you currently don't have, and that's what you sorely need.
One thing I'll say is he might be actually more comfortable in this atmosphere than he would be playing in front of 20,000 people. This is
Right.
probably like AAU to him a few years ago. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you're just
Interesting, actually.
playing basketball with guys with talented players. You don't have any other outside aspects really affecting you.
That's interesting. Yeah, I never thought of that, and that's a really good point. Is that that will change the game for some people who may not have had that exposure. You're right. You put him in with the Garden rocking in a game, a must-win game 3, and so you don't go down 0-3 to the Bucks, and you bring him into the game. Like, what are you going to do there? There's a lot going on. So that is a good point there, where this might be a real way to ease somebody into something and
now he can just think about playing.
Yeah,
just
get them
think
comfortable
about the people
fast.
on the court.
Yeah, it's a good point. Great point.
And ultimately, we don't give enough credit to the fact that this guy had a ping pong on his hand to start the year, and all of a sudden his shot looks fixed within less than 12 months, which is unthinkable. Like, normally that's a project that takes years to accomplish.
Yeah.
You see him on a kick-out 3, I'm not even worried about it at this point.
It is a shame, too, that you only have this 3-game restart, because you would like to see a person like Romeo. You would like to see a game if you had 5, 6, 7 of these.
It's not a 3-game restart.
I know.
It's
you're
an
right.
11-game restart.
It is, but you can't give them all away. But you would love to see Romeo run a game or 2 with the first unit clean, where, say, Tatum's out today and Romeo's just playing it, and he's going to rotate in. I'm gonna play him like I would play Tatum tonight, and play those minutes and just see how it goes. Because you're right, when we do see him, it really is bench time, second unit, lower, less pressure. There's not other people around. If he does get in the game with some of those other players, he really does disappear. So you want to see him in there and say, be yourself, and try.
We do play the Nets, John.
I think there will be a few games where Brad sits, all the first unit guys, and there's a couple games. And they might know their playoff position with 3 games to go. I mean, they might be
fair enough,
firmly seated in the 3rd spot or something like that.
Yeah, but then again, they could be playing people who are clearing out their bench too, have already checked out.
Exactly.
So
you're right.
All right, we'll give Bobby a shot here. We'll let him. We'll let him do his thing. Other bench thing, and again, this is a guy who you're obviously counting on. Offense, when he comes in, rebounding, and everyone knows who I'm talking about. But it's Enes Kanter. But then when you have spells like you had Sunday versus Suns, where you're like, wow, when it comes to the defensive end, and you're just thinking you got to get this guy out of here. So you see the good and you see the bad here with Enes. So Bobby's really fired up. I'm going to let him have at it here.
Well, just look at how the game started. They forced 6 straight misses. Yeah. He rotates in, and he's going to be Brad's first guy off the bench every single night. Sure. It feels like he has the shoe in at that position. And all of a sudden, the Suns score on 9 to 10 possessions. So this defense needs to be on a string, and they're always going to be overcompensating for him when he's out there. Yeah. So Brad did a good job of this during the season, like you said, managing him so that defense doesn't throw him off the course. But I just, you have your James Young nightmares. I have the nightmares of this guy rotating in during the playoffs, having a run like that. I mean, that loses you a game in the postseason, what he did today.
Yeah. No one else?
I mean, you're right. I mean, obviously, I think the defensive communication is key, and I think they all said that after game 1 that they were slow on a lot of things, and that's something they need to pick up on. So, right.
Yeah.
But Kanter's. Listen, the book was out on Kanter before he came to Boston, right?
Yeah. I think he's been way better than a
absolutely.
He has.
Listen, what he's going to be, but it hasn't been flat out atrocious. I think Brad's used him smartly, and when he does give you the offense and the rebounding, I mean,
and
especially when you're getting killed on the boards, and he
size.
Comes in there and he fights and he comes down with the second chance points. I mean, he's got a knack for it. It's something nobody else on the team can do. So you're right, Bobby. It can be a net neutral at some point, but again, it's up to Brad to pick his spots there.
What do you do, Clevis, if Tice gets into foul trouble early in a game, though?
See, I was going to bring up, do you trust Robert Williams more? Like we haven't...
that's it. No, but go
ahead. I was not expecting that. I wasn't expecting.
No, I'm glad you went there.
That's the question, but the answer is no.
That's where I wanted to go.
So if it's not Robert,
No, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, because I wanted to get to Robert Williams there.
I thought Robert would be. I mean, didn't he start part of the earlier in the season?
He had one start, I think.
Yeah, one start. So he's a guy I generally did think Rouse can give him more opportunity. But to me, I'll be honest with you guys. To me, Rob is just a lob just a lob guy. Like, I don't see anything else that really stands out to me. Like,
Help
yeah, he's
side blocks
athletic.
and some lobs. Yep.
Like, he's like to me, DeAndre Jordan and Tyson Chandler, but things he doesn't intimidate anyone going to the rim. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't see anyone being like, oh, it's Robert Williams. That's why you have to trust Enes Kanter.
I mean, Rob Williams is a young guy with a load of talent, but I don't think his basketball smarts are there. I mean, all defense is a lot about, being savvy, being smart, knowing where the ball is going to go. Even rebounding, it's like you got to know where that ball is going to bounce off the rim, and there's a skill to that. There's some really, really great rebounders in the history of this game that's one of the things that they're really good at. So I don't think Robert Williams is anywhere near where he needs to be a dependable, backup center in the NBA yet, but when Kanter's going through some serious trouble, pull him out and stick Williams in there for a quick spell just so you can, see what you got.
What about all the stuff we read, though, Jimmy? Twitter told me he was
fake
really
news,
good.
John. There's a lot of it out there.
Twitter, everybody.
You need bailout options.
Somebody told me he looked great and he was jumping through the gym and he looked like a different guy. Where is that?
Right. Well, he's jumping through the gym. Unfortunately, not anywhere near the action.
There could be. I mean, if Price gets hurt, and he has gotten hurt in the past, this maybe could be a guy you stick in there, as Clevis said, in a certain situation. That's what I dream of Tremont Waters being as well.
I mean, I think this all shows how thin and how lack of depth the Celtics have at the big man position. Like, it's Daniel Theis, and then it's everyone else.
Yep. That's the one thing you're scared of with this team.
Yeah, and that was what we said before going in game one, like what are they going to do at the center position? So still the same team. It's still the same issues. It's just they're going to have to, like you said, they're going to have to work through them and make do with what they got. I mean, I think that they can make up for that with the other talent that they have on the roster. They're going to have to.
Yeah, it is what it is there, and we know it. But again, Romeo and Rob would be the dream, to get things out of them that you hadn't seen yet because of their raw potential. Everyone else is, unfortunately, at this stage, you know exactly what you're going to get, and that counts for Enes, that counts for Grant, that counts for Semi. Yep. So again, that's the dare to dream scenario. You want to see more of it. Again, I wish we had a little bit more time to see Romeo, but certainly it was encouraging, so we'll take it.
Ultimately, right now, your bench is Smart, maybe Wanamaker, Semi or Romeo, and Kanter, and that's it.
I know, but it's the same thing. And again, we didn't see much, but you do want to see. You'd love to see Tremont cutting into the Wanamaker minutes because again, Wanamaker's giving you some good stuff, but you'd love to see. You want to see Williams cut into the Kanter minutes because and you want to see Romeo cut into the Semi minutes because those are the guys who could theoretically be more than what you have in the other guys, and they can take you to another level. Right now, you still don't know. You still don't know if you can count on them. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more through these last few games. Clevis, you wanted something to add something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's like I was gonna agree with Bobby saying this bench is just super thin, and that's why we talked about Kemba, but I just think like these starters are gonna have to play 35 plus minutes. They're gonna have to play a lot of minutes to compensate for their lack of depth on the bench. Yeah. And when you play a team like Milwaukee, where the soon-to-be MVP plays less than 30 minutes. Yeah, I think that tells you everything you need to know about the difference between both teams.
Yeah, no doubt.
When you're healthy, though, it's not as big of a problem like today.
Yep. So, again, take the good, take the bad here. But, again, a couple games we've definitely seen enough to kind of get a gauge of where these guys are. So
the juices are flowing.
Juices are flowing, right. It's enough for us to talk about. It's great to talk about something real. So we'll be back. We'll be talking throughout the week and after the preseason games heading into Friday's real action against Milwaukee. So, Clevis, Bobby, Jimmy, thanks a lot. John Zanis, this was the Garden Report.